All right, Shalom Israel. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there is no God beside them. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit, and salutations to the elect whom the Lord hath given ears to hear. And let me play this. I'm gonna play a few videos going into the devil being at work. You know, here's what the devil is doing. The devil being a so-called white man in the scriptures known as Esau Edom. So let's get it.
Agriculture, and one thing you said you were particularly, one crucial part is agriculture, and one thing you said you were particularly surprised by was how great a problem bovine flatulence is. Do you want to explain what that is and why it's a problem?
Yeah, so the animals that can eat grass have very unusual stomachs that have these bacteria that are methanogenic in there, and so they leak natural gas both out the front and the back. And so people have said, well, let's change the hay or throw some things in there. And it's been, nobody knows how to get rid of
No one knows how to get cows to stop farting.
Exactly, or burping. And so there is artificial meat, but that's at a very early stage. But that's another big source of greenhouse gas emission. So, you know, I'm just trying to make sure that the people who acknowledge the problem, which I think is fantastic, that they understand the breadth of innovation required before you can get anywhere near what we have to do, which is zero. If it was a 50% reduction, then you could ignore, okay, leave the cows alone. But because we're trying to avoid the temperature continuing to go up, you do need to go to zero. Otherwise, you're continuing to have temperature increase.
So that was what, 2 damn near 3 years ago. Now let's play this video, because what's happening worldwide is now farmers in Denmark are complaining of how, you know, their cows are being sick, their cattle are being sick, right? From what they're being forced to feed them, which is the is called bovaire.
Having an inability to walk, not how will they force you to?
And grab something real quick before I continue on this. Let's go to fair use. Let me play this real quick.
Right disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Right disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment. News reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
So now let me play this video.
How will they force you to stop eating?
Go back. I thought I would just do it for that one video. Let's normalize it now.
Meat? Well, they'll chemicalize the cows, drug and poison them. And how will they force you to stop eating meat? Well, they'll chemicalize the cows, drug and poison them until all the cows are dead. And yes, That's exactly what's starting to happen. Take a listen to these farmers.
It's the law since this year that we have to feed 80 days of Bovaer to our cows.
And my opinion on Bovaer is I don't want it on my farm, and you don't want it in your food.
Farmers are being pushed by the government to poison our cows and our food supply with the chemistry drug called Bovaer.
It's just poison for our cows. They get sick from it.
Cows getting sick, cows not eating, cows falling dead.
And we are now standing on Monday at the last cow. She can also not stand anymore. All have a lack of calcium, the ones who are laying down, and they just simply stop with eating. If this will continue, all animals get sick.
This story is disturbing on a whole new level. I wish I were making it up. As of last month, October 2025, Denmark is now forcing large dairy farms to cut methane emissions from their cows, and the main way they're doing this is with a patented feed additive called Bovaer. By feeding this chemical to the cows, it's designed to stop cows from burping out as much methane, with the goal being to reduce greenhouse gases and fix climate change. Now, while this may sound altruistic and very heroic, this is actually terrifying on so many levels. Yes, for the cows, but also for us. And so in this video, we are going to cover how the chemical Bovaer can threaten the health of you and your family. Now, you may be thinking, wait, Lily, didn't you just say this is happening in Denmark? I don't live in Denmark. Why should I care? Well, I think this farmer did a good job explaining why this is so important.
We really want to stop this. We are in big troubles in Denmark. And if it's not stopped in Denmark, it will come to your country where they will push this vile chemistry drug called Bovaer on your animals as well.
Right, so even though there are some shenanigans happening to the cows in Denmark, if they can get away with it, look, it starts to spread. And so this can impact all of us in the long run. And although the use of Bovaer in cattle's feed is supposed to be helping with climate change and reducing methane emissions, in just the past 2 months of this being mandated, many Danish farmers have been filing complaints that their cows are becoming sick, milk yields plunging as much as 40%, widespread diarrhea. The cows suddenly are collapsing, having an inability to walk, not eating, and suddenly dying.
Yep. And when you talk about the rollout of this devil's plans, it all equals to one word, which is death. And we're gonna go through a few precepts. I'm gonna make this one short, Lord willing, because I gotta head out for camp in a bit. But it's Proverbs 12:10. A righteous man regards the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So whenever this man speaks on his plans to help you, you know that it's a sinister plan behind it. They're talking about climate change and global warming. So as you heard from the devil's mouth, they gotta do away with anything that's going to jeopardize that, right? So don't be surprised soon enough where you won't be allowed to fly, you won't be allowed to drive, because it's all to so-called counteract climate change. Which I just watched a video, a real quick video. They were saying how climate change stems from too much carbon dioxide in the air, right? But if you do your research, right, that actually started off with this devil, right? He is a problem. And what I mean by that is when you look into it, okay, I put, was the first industrial revolution the beginning of climate change? The short version is yes. The industrial revolution, when these devils came over here, the influx of Europeans, they came over here and, created their steam engine, trains and various plants, right? The short answer is yes. The Industrial Revolution is essentially where human-driven climate changes begin, though the visible effects came much later, right? And that's what you can get when dealing with this devil, right? He works through something known as gradualism. And though you don't see the effects today, you know they're coming. All right? His job, as it is written of in Revelation 6 and 5, is to take peace from the earth. And Yahweh Shai's job is to bring peace back to the earth. So that's why we need him to fall. Or another way to say it is we need Yahweh Shai to return. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, if I hadn't said it before. It says the moment humans started burning coal in serious quantities, roughly the late 1700s and the 1800s, we accidentally opened a geological time capsule, right? And again, that's pretty much at the time of this devil's ruling. Okay? He is as deaf, and pretty much time is made short. You know, we know it's been made short since the time of Yahweh Shai's coming into the world, or rather his departure, going back up into the spiritual realm. But this, is also a way we know time is short, because this devil is ruling. Right? The scriptures say that when this devil is taken down, the earth is and the trees themselves is going to rejoice. All right? Whereas it says, no feller has come up against me, the feller being, the lumberjack man. And then, as you see, to jump down, it says, if the first industrial revolution was bad for the climate, wouldn't another industrial revolution be as well? And then they say another industrial revolution does not have to be bad for the climate. It depends on what powers it and how it's designed. And pretty much what's being talked about now is the construction of more nuclear power plants, because that's supposed to be more cleaner energy than what's currently, providing us with electricity, which is coal burning. All right. It says the first industrial revolution, right? It was huge CO2 emissions, steam engines, steel mills, and factories. From the 1750s onward, atmospheric CO2 rise dramatically. Again, you can give the credit for that to Esau. Right? As a matter of fact, if you look it up, there was various patents and plans, to make things hydro powered, and even cars themselves. But that would dip into this devil's pockets. So he couldn't have that. So again, he is as deaf, and there's nothing that he will do, because he's not created to do so. It's nothing that he will give you that's for your benefit. It says, so would another industrial revolution also be bad for the climate? Now they say no, not necessarily. Right? If the new industrial revolution is fossil fuel based, yes, it would be harmful. But then it goes into today's fourth industrial revolution, which is pretty much what I was getting at with my question, can actually reduce emissions. All right? It says renewable energy, right? Such as solar, wind, geothermal, and hydrothermal, battery storage, right? EVs, clean hydrogen, so on and so forth. All right, jumping down to the key point, the problem is not industrialization itself, is what powers it. Okay, so we went through that. But then I asked, is there enough renewable energy in the world today to power all these data centers? Right? So now they give me a little fluff. And I'm like, fuck it, just give me a yes or no. So they just said, no, there is not enough renewable energy today to power all the world's data centers. Which the world's data centers are in league with this fourth industrial revolution. Let's look something up real quick. So the fourth industrial revolution refers to current wave of technological data in which physical, digital, and biological systems emerge. Okay, so it says AI, automation, biotechnology, robotics, advanced data systems, all interconnected. How critical. Okay, very critical. Basically essential. You know? So what I'm getting at is that these devils are hypocrites. Here it is, you're in a race to set up your fourth industrial revolution, i.e. the NWO. But to do that, you need renewable energy, which you don't have, which means you're going to have to rely more on what's causing global warming, right? CO2, how things are today, basically. I don't know what's going on here. You know? So he's full of shit. And again, Proverbs 12 and 10. But the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. This is Psalms 37 and 37. It says, Psalms 37 and 35. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Okay? So this devil, all right, has spread himself all across the earth. All right? You can find that in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter. All right? How this beast would have 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay? Pretty much going into America ruling the earth. All right, ruling the European Union. And if it rules these stronger nations, you know, these smaller nations just have to fall, fall under the rule of thumb, so to speak. Right? And the whole world would have to succumb to what's known as the image of the beast. All right, the image of the beast is again the fourth industrial revolution, i.e. the NWO. To when man and machine would be interconnected. That's what it goes into. You have to take the mark of the beast to be if you accept the image of the beast, you have to take the mark of the beast, which we know is an RFID chip, which would connect man and machine. All right, and we know that's going to happen. So again, this devil, he's just about death. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And we need Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is Proverbs 4 and 11. Let me start at 4 and 14. Okay? And we are in a situation when we need redemption. This is hell. So it says, enter not into the path of the wicked, when this world is fastly entering into his path. All right, his image. I mean, there's always been, replicating or mirroring itself after him. This is why idolatry, Moism is widely celebrated. Holidays is widely celebrated. All right. But as we get deeper down, as we go deeper down the rabbit hole, we see the sinister plans. And as much as the earth is under attack and is mourning, why is it? You got to ask yourself, at the same time that the earth is under attack, everybody's sick, everybody's stressed out, everybody's overstimulated. Cancer rate is at an all-time high. Everybody's obese. Everybody's people are, just as through, as we always say. Why is it that Kill Gates is always that's the time when this devil is showing his face the most? It's like, you can't see that this man is a fucking devil. It is not just him. All right, because he's under orders. He's under marching orders by the elite over him that look just like him. They're Edomites. All right, but it says, go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Was it another one I had? Let's see. Proverbs 10:11. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Proverbs 10:2. The wicked in his pride doth, Psalms 10:2. The wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Okay. So it's a quagmire. It's a Salakia. Let me go back to that. Because I find myself using this word a lot. I always knew what it, like, I had an understanding of what it meant, but I never actually looked it up. So it says a quagmire is literal and is figurative. All right. Both of which spells out the situation that we're in. Right. So the literal meaning is a soft, muddy, swampy area that's difficult to walk through. All right. And that's what we're entering into. And this devil's going to mark it off as, him doing us a favor. But again, Proverbs 12:10, the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. I actually literally just seen that movie, Demolition Man, the other day. And there was a conversation with, who was it? What's this guy? He played Rocky. I can't remember his name right now. Was it Sylvester Stallone? Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. And he was sitting down with the president of the earth at the time. And this guy pretty much said, like, he was boasting at the fact that he saved the world from the dangerous condition that it was in. And that was around the time of 2032, I believe, when everything was digital. Pretty much everyone was under a microscope. You couldn't You couldn't curse. You couldn't even have sex. You know, so procreation was out the picture, which means what? The way this devil wants things to be will ultimately bring forth death. All right, because you can't procreate, how much longer you think you're going to live? You know, and your lineage after you, humans in general. So it says figurative, meaning a difficult, complicated, or troublesome situation that's hard to get out of. All right, and if you enter into his path, i.e., take that MOTB, then the only way out of it is death. Okay, and again, we need salvation. We need salvation. So if that, you know, Lord willing, you occupy, aqua for edified. Shalom to the elect.